welcome back to Bolt Action CP for another battle report. Today we're doing a kind of special edition battle report for the new second edition that we just got. So I made two lists, trying to encompass all the new changes that we could maybe encounter. I'm sure I forgot some, but I think most of them will be in this game. Today we're doing a larger game, 1400 points, because I had to try to squeeze all the new rules in. So basically just a bunch of different units, not completely optimized in any way, but it's going to be Germans versus Americans. I'm going to be the Americans versus Andre as the Germans today. So here's a look at the board, and here we'll go over the forces. So these guys are all regular. We got 4 squads, regular infantry, 2 BARs, 1 SMG, sergeant, and rifles. This squad only has 1 BAR. And over here I got a second lieutenant, I got a medic and 1 guy, and I'm bringing a captain. Try him out. And I brought a squad of paratroopers with an LMG and rifles. I also brought MMG, medium mortar, no spotter, 2 trucks, sniper team, bazooka with jeep, half track, the 50 cal, and a Sherman 76 with a pintle mounted medium machine gun. So now we'll go and see what the Germans have. Alright, for the Germans we have 4 squads of regular troops, all identical. They have a LMG, 3 SMGs, 3 rifles, and 2 Panzerfaust each. Also have a squad of 10-man squad of inexperienced Kriegsmarine, the LMG, a couple SMGs, a couple Panzerfaust. Sniper team, first lieutenant, got a MG42, heavy mortar with spotter, flak Vierling, Hanomag, Stu 42, and 2 trucks. So real quick, the mission we're going to be doing is one of the new missions out of the book called Sectors, and the objective is we each get a table edge, and one of the 2 quarters in that edge we'll pick, and then we'll go on the opposite for the opponent, and you get kill points, and you get points for being in the unoccupied neutral sector, and you get more points if you have a unit fully in the enemy sector. And this one's a little different deployment wise, because it's an alternating style of deployment where you put whatever you're going to deploy, you put those dice only in the bag and pull a die, and for each one of those you deploy a unit. So it's kind of like it's an order dice, but instead of moving, you're deploying, and then when it's all done, whatever you have left you put in reserve, and the game begins. So we're gonna go ahead and do our deployment now, and then we'll be back to look at what the deployment looks like. Alright, we're done deploying. I took this table quarter, so I guess first I'll go over what we didn't deploy. I'm leaving 2 squads, 2 trucks, my second lieutenant, my bazooka, and my jeep in reserve, and that squad is inside the half track. So I've deployed my medium machine gun inside this building here on the top floor, my Sherman, a squad, a medic, a half track with a squad. Captain's back here behind this dense terrain, so he should be out of line of sight but still able to activate. I got my airborne squad with LMG and rifles inside the dense terrain, so they can be seen. They can also see out. Got my mortar, my sniper team, and that's about it. And then we'll go see what the Germans' deployment looks like. On the German side, in reserve, he has this here, 2 trucks, the Kriegsmarine, the medic, and these guys.
Yeah.
And those guys. That squad and the first lieutenant are inside the Hannah Mag. So he has his heavy mortar, and his heavy mortar spotter is up in that building. He's got his Stu 42 half track, infantry squad, MG 42, and the old flak Veerling in hard cover with a good field of fire down this way. So that's it for deployment, and we'll go ahead and start and be back at the end of turn 1. Alright, welcome back. Now at the end of turn 1. We've had a few good lessons already in some of the new version 2 rules in our first turn. First of all, we forgot to do the preparatory bombardment. In this mission, both players get to do it, so that could have changed some things. It wouldn't have been this much movement at the beginning. I'm sure there would have been a few pins out. But anyway, I'll start out over here. Andre got the first dice. He drove up his half track and fired, and he missed. And then the guys advanced out, fired on my mortar team, and put a pin on him, killed one. And then I knew so I couldn't leave these guys just sitting here, so I thought I'd wipe them out. So I decided I'd use my captain's ability, and I activated 3 units: the half track, the squad inside, and the tank. Half track drove up, fired on his half track, just put a pin on it. Guys inside got out and whiffed big time on their roll on these guys, needing 4s, and didn't kill a single one. Put a pin on them. And then my tank fired at his Stug and missed, and all the machine gun fire went into the squad that was in that building and missed. So a big time whiff job on the captain activation on that one. Over here, he fired his heavy mortar at my sniper and missed, and my sniper fired on them, and again another whiff. This squad came out, my airborne squad, and whiffed again big time, so it was massive missing on the American side on this side. So he advanced his 2 squads up. They have Panzerfaust, which are now not -1 to hit, so I know he's got sights on that Sherman there. His Stug came up. I had a machine gun in the building there, and we found out that the new rules are very powerful for HE against buildings. He's a medium howitzer 3-inch template, but inside buildings, you still use the 2d6 for buildings. So all he had to do was shoot at the building itself, not at the unit. So they didn't get hard cover. All he had to do was roll 4, because all he did was move, and he's not long range. So he hit with a 4 and rolled his 2d6 and wiped out the guys inside. So these howitzer tanks are going to be very brutal against units inside buildings now. His flak Veerling didn't do anything because he blocked all the lanes of fire, and that was about it. His officer actually did his activation too, and used it to move up these 2 squads and himself, and everything else is still in reserve. So that's it for turn 1. So we'll go on to turn 2, and now reserves will start coming in. We'll see what happens at the end of turn 2. Alright, here in the middle of turn 2 here, Andre's he's finally made a path for that flak Veerling to fire. So he's going to do the full Monty 8 shots on the squad there, needing 6s. So this might be the first chance we get to see these templates in action.
2
hits, alright. So grab the template there.
And it's
1 inch template.
so I can hit 4 there and 4 there
With this inside circle?
with the inside circles.
All right, so they're all bunched up, so that's my fault there. So that's 8. Hold on 1 second, let me check something. 1 inch, I think, is a +1. Yeah, so +1 pen. So they're what? They're regular, so you need 3s.
So 8 shots needing 3s. Got 6 of them.
Oh man. So that was brutal.
HE is badass.
You went 1 inch circle. But look how tight they are.
Yep.
I
So
mean-
just as we feared, you got to remember to spread out or you're toast.
Yeah, so 6 guys. All right, well, anyway, we wanted to kind of roll the first real template action, and now you see what it does. So we'll be back at the end of turn 2. All right, welcome back. Turn 2 is now over. A lot of crazy things going on here. First, of course, you saw the carnage that Flak Veerling did on that squad in there. They were all bunched up. That's my fault, but they're in a small area, so there was no room to spread out. So that hurt me big time, but they passed their order, so they are still in here. On this side, my paratrooper squad ran up to that wall and unloaded on that squad and actually did pretty good damage to them, killed 4 of them. My sniper had no shot because he was totally blocked, so he ran over here and fired on that same squad and missed. My mortar tried to range in on his Flak Veerling, didn't do it. His mortar fired on this squad and missed. A lot of this happened because the first die again, I got the first die and activated with my captain, and that's what I did. I activated the airborne squad, my half track, and my tank. My tank backed up because he was a little close to these dudes. He missed with his main gun, but he ripped them up with the 2 MMGs, killed like 3 or 4 of them, put a pin on them. Half track put another pin on him, but didn't kill anyone. And as I said earlier, the airborne squad was also activated by the captain. Captain just went down. He's just staying there. He's got a good bubble. 12-inch bubble is pretty big, and we're assuming that also counts for his command bonus, the 12-inch too. So he's really a good, effective unit. Over here, his Stu-42 drove up, fired and missed with the cannon, luckily on the airborne, luckily for me, and fired and put a pin on him with the machine gun. And then my bazooka came in, walked on, advanced, and fired on the side shot and took out the Stu-42. Losing that -1 to hit is huge for these shape charges, because he advanced on, not long range, so all it was move, so all he needed was a 4 to hit, so he took him out. On this side, reserve started coming in. I brought in kind of it was a gamble, but I ran my 2 trucks on here and I couldn't get out. He advanced up his other grenadier squad and whiffed big time on his rolls on this one. He fired 1 Faust at each truck. He hit one and it rolled a 1 to damage, so it only put a pin. Then he unloaded with everything else and missed, so it's only a pin after all that. So I got 2 trucks of dudes here with my 2nd lieutenant in there. He brought his medic up. These guys really didn't do much. They took a lot of fire at the beginning, and one of them rallied and the other one failed the order, rolled a 9 or a 10. Even with the lieutenant was not enough. And finally on this side, his other truck of with the Kriegsmarine advanced and he got into that ruin there. So that's it for turn 2. We're going to go on and do turn 3, and then we'll be back at the end of turn 3. Alright, turn 3 is now over. Now we'll start over here on this time. Actually, the first 2 dice of the game, Andre put his Flak Veerling and that squad there in ambush because I had my 2 trucks here full of guys, so they were just waiting for them to get out to unload on them. After that, the Kriegsmarine that are in that building had 2 Panzerfaust. They fired on my Sherman, actually hit it and immobilized it. So it's got one of the fancy new immobilized tokens there. So he's immobilized, he's stuck there, but he can still shoot, and he did shoot. He fired back into the building. Actually, that's a ruin, so I was not shooting at the building, which would have been easier. But I missed with my HE, but I hit with my pintle mount, and I killed 2 of them, including the sergeant. So they're down a leadership because of that, and inexperience with a pin, so they're going to have a hard time getting out of there. I fired my whole gun at that squad there and put a pin on them, and they failed the order. They tried to move and failed the order again, second time in a row. So they're stuck there. Even with the first lieutenant, they didn't pass the order, rolled the 10. Over here, that squad, that German squad, what was left of it, got fired on by that squad there on the left, and we killed them and they broke and ran off. And then my paratroopers moved up to the wall and just started firing in that direction at those infantry in that ruin. My sniper still has no line of sight to the enemy officer since I blocked the way, so he shot at the Flak Veerling and missed. My bazooka took a long range shot at the half track when it was back over there on the road and missed. And then finally over here where it started getting interesting, my truck that was on the left, I had an officer and a squad in it, and he has 2 things on ambush. So I brought the officer out first, advanced him into the building at point blank, and fired and killed 2 of the crew on that Flak Veerling. He decided not to spring his ambush on the officer and almost paid the ultimate price for it. But he did have a guy left. He passed his morale check. So, and then I decided to get this truck on the right. I moved up. He didn't spring his ambush, and I got the guys out and ran him into that building. He still didn't spring his ambush. He finally sprung the ambush when I got my other squad that was in the left truck out. So they advanced out and took all kinds of fire from the Flak Veerling, which really didn't do anything because I learned my lesson and spread out. He only got 2 hits with the HE, and he didn't kill anyone, but put a pin on. And then that squad is the one that did all the damage. They had 14 shots, unloaded, took 5 of them out. There's 3 left. They passed their order, so they're still there. And they fired on the half track and missed. Truck just backed up over here. As far as officers go, I just activated my mortar, that squad there on the left, and my half track with my officer kind of early in the turn. Mortar took another shot at the Flak Veerling, so he's got 2 shots on him now. Hopefully hit him next time. And his mortar took a shot at these guys. So that's about it. So we'll go on to turn 4. Andre's not feeling it here, he said, so maybe we'll see if he can maybe turn it around in turn 4. Turn 4 is over, so here we are again. Start off over on this side. These guys, I had rush that squad inside that building, and the truck was there. And you know, Andre kind of went back and forth on whether to assault or to shoot. After we talked about tough fighter roll a little bit, you know, it's not as good as it was. You don't get 2 attacks per tough fighter anymore. You only get an extra attack for every hit you do. So he decided against assaulting because we would have went simultaneous and it would have been about even. So he decided just to come in and just blast away. So he got within 6 of the door, point blank. I went down, and they're -2 in hard cover. So in the end, he still only did a pin. so it wasn't very effective. That -2 to go down is pretty brutal in this game. This squad here tried to advance and failed their order. My officer, I had my one lieutenant left over from the assault on the Flak Veerling that he killed in the assault this turn. I guess we forgot about that. My lieutenant killed the Flak Veerling in the assault, consolidated into that corner, proceeded to get his head blown off by the German sniper. In the back here, his mortar fired, and on his second attempt ranged in and obliterated the squad that was there on the left, and even killed a couple of the paratroopers, caught him in the blast with the 3-inch template. So at +3, that 3-inch template's pretty gnarly when it hits. Luckily he wiped out the squad that was ranged in on. Now I know what you mean when you said you wanted to leave one guy alive, but it didn't happen. Not at needing 2s when you have, what, 6 dice or whatever I had, or he had trapped 5 guys into the template, so that was it for them. So anyway, the paratroopers here, they've been taking a lot of fire from everything on this side, including the medium machine gun. They took some pins from the mortar strike, and they're down to 3 guys. So, and they have a lot of pins on them. But I think I'm within 12 inches of my officer, so I could rally. And I don't even need the officer to rally, because now rally ignores pins. They're veterans, so I can rally on a 10. My sniper, again, continued his failure streak and missed the machine gun. My mortar fired on the MG42 and missed. This squad here, they passed an order and they ran out here and unloaded and actually did pretty good against killed one of the paratroopers, put a pin on him. My half-track then opened up with a 50 cal and killed 2, so they're down to 2 guys out there. Over here, my Sherman unloaded on this squad who had stayed down, and for some reason I just brain fart there. There's no point in unloading everything from the Sherman onto them, but I did put a pin on them, so it's an expensive pin. In the building, his Kriegsmarine predictably failed the order at -2 for 1 pin and minus the NCO, so they're still down. I guess you could just leave them down. And that's about it. My bazooka took a shot at his half-track and missed, and his half-track wisely backed away. So that's it for turn 4, and we'll go do turn 5 and be back then. Alright, here we are at the end of turn 5. A lot of movement on this turn. All these guys finally got out and started moving down the road. I'll start over here in my Sherman. Tried to unload on those Kriegsmarine in there and they went down, which made it very hard to hit. I needed 7s, I didn't get any hits. I did fire the bow gun at the squad that was over there in between those buildings and missed. And those guys finally passed their order and ran out. They fired their Panzerfausts long range, moved with a pin, so they needed a 6 and they missed as well. Officer came out and fired on this lone BAR man there, missed. 2 guys that were there foobarred, and they just ran back 12 inches. So they're kind of out of the way now. Over here, my captain activated, and he activated the mortar, the squad, the half-track, and what else? Oh, and the BIR guy. And they didn't do anything. These guys, my mortar did drop another one there and missed again. Over here, my bazooka got in the Jeep and ran over to there. And turned, his half-track drove up and fired and hit, but only put a pin on him. And this squad failed their order again. Over here is where the main action happened. He had his full squad. I jumped out of the building, unloaded, killed 5 of them. He was down to 3 guys. Kept his LMG as one of them, and returned fire and killed what, 5 of mine in return. So really good rolling on the Germans' part. Buzzsaw allowed 5 shots plus the assault rifle, so 7 shots killed 5 guys. So we're pretty much even over here right now. And that's about it for turn 5. So we're gonna say turn 6 will be the last turn, and we'll be back at the end of turn 6. Alright, turn 6 is over, and we called the game. Andre won this game. He wound up with a big rush at the end to get a bunch of units into my table quarter, which is worth 3 victory points. We'll start over here. It was kind of a big mess. I did it. It was one of those things where you had to do it in just the right order. I had a squad. I had a jeep with a bazooka and a truck, and another squad in this building. What was left, they failed their orders 2 turns in a row, so they didn't have enough movement to get up into that other enemy table quarter. So all they could do was move up and fire, and all they did was put a pin on those 3 guys that were left. His mortar fired at my squad that was here and missed, and then he gunned him down. I believe you shot him to no. I failed in order.
Medium machine gun and put another pin on him.
Yeah, and then he finally got me down, killed 50%, and then I had 4 pins and failed my morale check. So they ran off, and I had driven my jeep up with my bazooka in it, and he had his half track there, so we took that out automatically because it was closer to me than to anyone else. And then I got my bazooka out of the jeep, thinking, okay, I got 2 units in here. And then he got his head blown off by the sniper, which I totally forgot about. I should have just left the guy in the jeep, so that didn't help. Over here he made a rush into these woods with everyone, his squad and his officer. His other squad failed the order, so they foobarred, that's right, they ran back, and then they failed the order. So once he had his officer up against the wall, he had that squad. He was down to 2 guys. My officer ran up and gunned down his officer, and then my tank pretty much almost wiped out that squad. Got him down pretty low, but then they had to take a morale check, but they passed. My mortar hit that squad too before. A direct hit with them and killed like 3 of them. And then his Kriegsmarine squad, I tried to put some more pins on them because they rallied and last turn and they got their pin off. And I knew they were missing their sergeant and they're inexperienced, so I thought if I got a pin I might be able to pin them down, but they passed with they rolled a 3 on their morale check, so they were able to come out. Advanced out of the ruin and got just inside the table quarter, my table quarter here. And then the trucks drove up through the fence, and we're still kind of trying to figure out how the trucks are going to secure anything, but we said they would, so we both drove our trucks as far as we could in enemy territory. So in the end, I had 1 unit, that truck, in enemy territory. What would I have? How many points do I have? Like 3 for that,
Well, when we
and that's it.
counted up that you were up by 1 point before we started all the shooting.
Yeah, I was up by 1 when I had everything, but now I'm down by
A bunch.
it's 9 over here already, right off the bat, by losing the jeep and the
Yeah.
squad and the bazooka, and then he's up 9. So it just did a reverse. So anyway, that's it. The British, I mean not the British, the Germans won. So I used to be playing the British all the time. It was a pretty wild game. Andre thought it was over. I think he was about to concede at one point, but he pressed on and wound up pulling out the victory at the end. So let's see. We'll go over to MVP. My MVP would be my captain. I mean, the guy is awesome. Activating 3 units, you know, it's great, and plus that 12-inch bubble for his morale check is just awesome. I mean, the guys that he activated didn't necessarily do everything every time that he wanted, but it was still a cool thing. And So I would nominate my captain as the MVP. See what Andre says.
Not as clear cut for me. My help me out, Travis. What was the
Black Veerling.
Flak Veerling? The 8 shots with the HE in the new rules is incredible. It didn't kill a ton of stuff, but it was just such a deterrent. It was a high value target, and he really had to press in and expend some resources to take it out. I'd probably go with the Flak Veerling for first MVP. Heavy mortars. I liked them before. I like them even better now. Once they start hitting, they're able to root out infantry, which is really tough when you're able to go down and get that -2 on you. The mortar, the sniper with the kill shot for the game win. He didn't do a whole lot, but pulled through when he needed to. So I'm really impressed with the HE and the new rules. I really think most armies, to be effective, are going to have to bring some, especially against veteran armies. That's it for me.
Yeah, so HE is, we were kind of wondering what was going to happen with the templates. They're actually better for smaller HE. Bigger HE kind of got nerfed a bit, but the small stuff, even especially real small, like autocannon HE with a 1-inch circle, you can really do some damage if your enemy's tight together. So that's it for this battle report. We really liked it was a fun game. I liked it a lot, and I think Andre should have mentioned his Kriegsmarine as one of the MVPs for immobilizing that Sherman, because that Sherman was going to be back here wreaking havoc, and he wouldn't have been able to really do much about it. So
That's true. They never do much, but what they do is always worth the points, it seems.
yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching the battle report, and we'll be back for the next battle report.